suits, but I was too shy to ask you because some of the older wrestlers don't like to be approached. But now I've seen a bunch of your interviews. You're a great talker. So how are you doing today?
Fantastic. Now, you were talking about old wrestlers don't like to be approached, and how did you equate that with me? I don't
Oh,
understand.
sorry. I
I mean,
didn't
you're
even.
probably you're
Well, I
not a
am a
lot
heel.
older.
I am a heel, so I could get away with saying that.
Hey, you're not a lot older than me, but let's face it. Oh, did you have a question for me? I have lots of answers.
Yes, tell us first of all. For people that don't know you, could you give us a quick synopsis of your career? I know you had a lot of interaction with Roddy Piper. You had interactions
Oh,
with the Sheik. You're a Hall of Famer. Could you
four
just give a
times.
quick synopsis?
Let's see. I am, well, I'll introduce myself. Direct from his palatial estate, high in the hills of Hollywood, California, we present to you, live and in person, the original Mr. Wonderful, the diamond ringed Cadillac man, the man who possesses the body that men fear and women love, the intercontinental lover, the Rolls Royce of wrestling, four-time Hall of Famer, Rock Riddle. Okay, how's that? Now you want background?
That's pretty good, but let's hear more about this intercontinental lover stuff because the fans love those stories.
Oh, gee. Well, let's do it this way. I'm doing the International Television Network, the International Professional Wrestling Television Network, which is Roy Shire's organization, and he's out of San Francisco. I got more mail than ever anyone got out of his show that went basically all over the world. Hank Renner was the announcer. So every time I would go on the show, I would be interviewed. And Hank Renner would come in and he would have a big bag full of mail for me. And I would just look at that and I would say, all of this fan mail for me? Wow. Let's open one at random. What do you say? So I dig down and I would open one, and even on the envelope it says "oink oink, you pig, you should die," and lots of words that I would not care to repeat here. So I opened it and I said, it was not this was not what it said, but I read it. Dear Rock, Mr. Wonderful Riddle, you are the greatest, most handsome, most amazing human I've ever seen. In fact, you're superhuman. You're every woman's dream. I've enclosed a photo. Oh, gosh, she's enclosed. She's enclosed a semi-clad photo. I have to tell you, females out there, look, and this is in San Francisco, remember, when I want women, I have them flown in from Palm Beach. I mean, the so-called women around here, where this television all over the International Television Network, they're like bow wows on two legs. And I'm not interested. I'm simply not interested. Anyway, let's get back to this letter. And it says, I can't say that word, can I? Let's read forward. I sure would love to meet you. You are my ultimate, what's that word? Oh, fantasy. Okay. You're my ultimate fantasy man. Well, sorry. What's her name? Sheila. What's that last name? Oh, Sheila Anderson. Well, sorry, Sheila Anderson, but you're not nearly up to my level. So, but I tell you what, I'll send you send me some money and I'll send you a picture. I'll even autograph it. And again, Sheila Anderson, 127 4th Street, Sacramento, California, 92404. Okay, that's what the envelope says. And I would actually read the address of someone who sent me hate mail that I turned into a love letter on air. People hated me. It was fantastic. It was great wrestling for Roy Shire up in San Francisco based area. He invited me and my lady friend at the time. He invited us to his ranch at Sebastopol, California. And I remember we're out front and he says, yeah, well, let me show you what's out back here. And so I'm standing there. He looked, he said, "We're not walking." So he has a huge ranch. I told Pat Patterson that because Pat Patterson at the time was Roy's booker. And Pat said, "You got invited to his ranch?" I never got invited to his ranch, and I'm the booker. I'm his big star. I mean, yeah, give this thing a thumbs up, guys. Otherwise, I won't stay here. Wait, then they'll force me to leave. So wrestling with Roy Shire was great. A lot of people did not like him. I liked him because he is the promoter. You see, wrestlers see about this much. And I'll say we to sort of incorporate the majority. No, I'm not going to say they. Most wrestlers have about this much vision. Why are they not putting me over? Why are they not building me? Why am I not getting a push? Well, that's up to you, wrestlers. Gee, but see, Roy Shire hired me. He was the promoter. And whatever he wanted, he let me know what his formula was. And I said, okay, I can do that. After I finished in San Francisco and flew down to Los Angeles and started making movies and things like that, Roy Shire still flew me back and forth to do television. He flew me back and forth to Reno and to Las Vegas just because he liked me and because I'm easy. I'm easy to get along with. And if no matter what the entity, what the business is, who the promoter is, my job is to make their business grow. It's not about me. It's about how can I make them the biggest that they can be. I'll give you another story, and then you interrupt any time with questions that you have. If I go
Well,
around
just
in
one
circles,
quick
tell me.
question. Did you know Billy Graham at all when you were in the Roy Shire territory? Sorry.
Roy Shire, yes. Yes, I did. Billy was a friend. I've got some videos of Billy Graham. In fact, I'll give you an idea without showing it to you, and maybe you can pull it from YouTube where people can go on and take a look at it. I've got several with Billy Graham, but this was several years before he passed away. I was at his funeral, by the way. But several years before he passed away, we were at a wrestling convention, wrestling fan fest type of a thing. And I had a videographer with me. And I said, "Billy Graham, tell them about Rock Riddle." And he says, Rock Riddle, he had this gimmick. It was the easiest gimmick, man. He had all this stuff going, and it was so easy for him. Me, superstar Billy Graham, I had to work. I had to work like a dog. And I said, "Well, Billy, to some of us it comes naturally, and some have to work really, really hard." So anyway, he was, as they say in the business, he was putting me over, and we were having fun. And we did several of those interviews. And I was at his, again, as I said, I was at his funeral. So I feel like certain friends, I need to be there. And I always let people know. Like, I'll give you an example. Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson introduced me to
Someone was just
people.
asking about Pat Patterson, by the way. Why did he love San Francisco so much?
Well, San Francisco used to be a really nice place. San Francisco, the way it is now, that's not San Francisco anymore. That's something else. They kept the name, but it's the real San Francisco was a great place. The Cow Palace, we sold it out just about I think we were like, sometimes we were there every week, it seemed like, and big pay, great pay. We kept selling it out. Now, someone asked about why would Pat Patterson be there? Because that's where the best in the world were at that point. Let me back up and tell you how I got there, make a point about that, and then bring me back.
Please tell us how over Ray Stevens was there too, for those of us that are too young to have experienced it. But get into your story, but I have to throw that in before I forget.
Ray Stevens was like a Bruno Sammartino in his area of the country times 100. Ray Stevens was very over. Uh, when we lose people in this business, it's very, very sad. Uh, the first time I heard, let me remember who it was. It may have been Nick Bockwinkel. After Ray Stevens had passed away, Nick said, "I loved him. I loved that man." And it was the first time I had heard someone using that expression, like same-sex wrestler. But it was, and then I learned about it. And it's like all these people, yeah, they're family, and we love them all. They become family, and we, when they're gone, it's like a horrible thing, like something's been taken, ripped from us. But more than that, it's been taken from the fans, and it's a horrible loss when we have friends who are not here anymore, which is a good point for me to interrupt my train of thought and say, go to CAC, caulifloweralleyclub.org, caulifloweralleyclub.org. Go to their once a year 4-day event. I know you'll see in there 3 days. It starts on Sunday. I'll be there on the Sunday night. I will be a part of the On the Fly Wrestling event, which is done by Sin Bodie and Super Beast, and to a minor degree myself. Yes, I know I'm being much too humble, but this is an event where here's at ringside, before the people come in, on one side of rings, one portion of ringside, there's about 30 or 40 wrestlers, and they're the good guys. And then you got the heels, the bad guys on the other side, basically. And there's another 30 or 40 wrestlers. They sit there in their gear when the people come in. They stay there the entire evening. They have no idea whether they're wrestling or not. They have no idea who they're wrestling. So one of the things I get to do is go out in the audience and pick someone out and say, who would you like to see wrestle? Come with me. Let's go up there, point out the person you'd like to see wrestle next. Boom. One of the people in the crowd last year was, oh my gosh, Ata Maivia Johnson. Okay, Ata is Dwayne's mother. Oh, now I got more stories I can tell you about that. But she was in the audience. Haku was in the audience. Lots of wrestling promoters, lots of major stars, because it's the first day before the official 3-day super event wrestlers reunion. So I went out, I took the microphone, and I went out of the ring, went over to Ata, and I said, Ata, everyone knows who you are. You let a lot of people know that you and I made a movie together, right? It was a video, but she always called it a movie. I said, Ata, come with me. Which of these, and I took her by the hand. I said, which of these people would you like to see wrestle? And she says, this guy. I said, okay, well, let's go keep going over to the other side and see if you can pick out an opponent for him. And she says, okay. And we're walking over. There's one fellow on the front row who has slid his chair up forward. So she almost runs into him. He says, sorry. And I had just said, let's go over here and see who his opponent will be. When this guy said, sorry, she looked down at him. She says, him. So that's the way it was. Nobody has any opportunity to know anything in advance. It's the way wrestling used to be. It's the way wrestling always should be, in my never to be humble opinion. They don't talk before they walk into the ring and they have a wrestling match. And I thought initially it would be an amazingly dumb event. I said, oh my gosh, I've been invited to be a part of this, and it's going to be horrible because the newer wrestlers, meaning those who've been in the business for like less than 10 or 12 years, I don't know that they can just go in and have a brilliant match with someone they've never met before. I was happy to see that I had anticipated incorrectly. Those were some of the greatest matches because that's what professional wrestling is. So my whole point was go to CAC, go to the different events, go to the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. I believe that's in July. I don't have my calendar up at the moment. Go
Yes, it
to
is in July with your good friend Gerald Briscoe.
Jerry Briscoe. Hey, Jerry's a good guy.
Yes.
Jerry is the one who submitted me for for inclusion into the Hall of Fame there, the George Tragos slash Luthez National Wrestling Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. And
What happened in your interview with him? I just have to ask, was that a purposeful rib that they did to you?
Yes,
They kept
yes.
interrupting you and I lasted 25 minutes and I was really trying.
No,
And I've watched a lot of your interviews.
yes,
It's had nothing to do with you. I just couldn't take their stuff anymore.
yeah, they were. See, it's like in South Park when they're doing certain humor, flatulence humor. How's that for a nice way of saying it? And after a while, it's not funny anymore. And then they continue and it becomes funny again. So I think that was what Jerry had in mind. And he was doing it as a rib. And I'm going along. Okay, fine. Let's see. I can go as long as you can go. I'm not the person. I'll be judged, but you'll be judged also. And we went about over 2 hours. I don't know, something like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that. And there were people who the comments were just what yours were. Oh my gosh, they kept interrupting you. Yeah, that was their way of ribbing, of having fun. And so I didn't take it personally. At one point, I think I said, okay, if you really want to do a battle of wits with me, we can do that too. Jerry, never mind. So people said I couldn't get through it. It was horrible. How could you guys keep interrupting? I couldn't watch it. And then other people said, it's the best I've seen of all of the interviews you've done. It's the absolute best I've seen. Other people said, I laughed all the way through it. So it just depends on what your sense of humor is, I suppose. But I don't have any problem with it. Now
Do you think he really worked at Home Depot, as he mentioned in there, after he got released by WWE, or was that just a pure rib?
Jerry said that?
Maybe you would tuned out. You probably just started tuning them out by that point.
Well, I think a lot of people started tuning him out, but anyway.
Yeah, he claimed that his badge or something said Floyd when he was working at Home Depot, which it had come up what his real name was. But speaking of names, you're the
Yes.
original Mr. Wonderful.
Yes.
What were your thoughts when Paul Orndorff started using it, and how did you come up with the name? And did he ask for permission? Did he even know about you using it? Like, what was the deal with that?
Okay, where do I start? Yes, it was my creation. When I was 14 years old, I was introduced to professional wrestling and my life changed. I could say my life started because professional wrestling became my life. And by the time between 14 and 16, on my 16th birthday, I made the decision I'm going to be a professional wrestler. And I weighed 130 pounds, 128, 130 pounds. Wrestled on a 132-pound weight class, went up to, I think, 145 at my heaviest. Anyway, what was the question? I just lost the question here.
The question was, did Mr. Wonderful have permission to use Mr. Wonderful?
All right. I am Mr. Wonderful. I am the first, the only, the original. So I asked myself, if I could sit front row ringside and watch the ultimate wrestler in the ring, my hero, what would he be like? Would he be cocky and arrogant and condescending? Would he be the most amazing bad guy ever? Someone who didn't think that he was better than everybody else. He knew it. Would he have blonde hair and suntan and custom-made velvet robes and glitter and have unique outfits? Yes. How would he wrestle? He would take a little bit from Jack Briscoe. He would take a little bit from, and I named all these people. So what would he be? He would be Mr. Wonderful. He would be every woman's dream and every man's nightmare. He would be the person through that people would want to live vicariously through him because they knew they could never be him. So I created it. And if you go back with the magazines, you can find a long time before Orndorff, you can find me on the cover, Rock Riddle, wrestler, movie star, Mr. Wonderful. I think that's on the cover of one, with Sammartino's on the cover with me and several other people. I've got stuff with Andre the Giant. I've got all sorts of stuff. I got a lot of stuff in the magazines.
You have someone asking about your TV show appearance, by the way. Speaking of being a movie star, you were one of the first wrestlers to start appearing on TV regularly in what was it, a sitcom type show?
In what kind of a show?
Sitcom.
Oh,
I don't
sitcom.
know exactly what it's called.
Oh,
You're the Hollywood guy. You explain it to me.
Okay, if you say sitcom. I have a lot of film and television stuff that I've done. When I finished up with Roy Shire, and did we talk about that? We were doing Pat Patterson.
We'll jump back to that. We'll jump back to that.
We'll jump back. Okay, write it down so I won't remember it. I haven't had much sleep for the last 4 days, and I don't do well.
You're still bringing the ladies in, are you? Is that why?
You know, I have a son who just turned 30, and I told him he has to start lying about his age because pretty soon he's going to be my age. And I told him when he was a little kid, I said, Evan, someday you might have little girls around you, and you might feel like you want to spend time with them. And when that happens, here's what to do. Grab your wallet, hand it to them, protect your body, your heart, and your lower organs, and run as fast as you can away from them because they're all trouble. Do you know what's on your mom's mantle? You know what's in that jar? Not mine, but other people's. So that was the kind of thing that I said. Somebody said a comedian here. Let's see what we have here.
Someone called you a comedian. Someone started to give a Rick Rude speech. Did Rick Rude take his shtick from you?
No. Not to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
What I would like to have right now.
Oh, you want me to read that? Here, I'll read it.
Why don't you read them? That way I don't have to put on.
What I'd like to have right now is for all you ignorant, ugly, out of shape Maryland meatheads to keep the noise down while I take my robe off and show the ladies what a real man looks like.
That's me. That's probably a direct quote. And I see the person's name. It flashed up there as Mark. Mark. Yeah. You're right on, man. You must have followed my career. I just had something happen recently.
John says you're a legend, by the way. And another John, the Johns like you. He says you're an excellent guest. So you have a bunch of fans on here.
Well, at least I know how to speak English properly. Not quite as well today because of sleep deprivation. But you'll notice I haven't been saying, well, you know. Why do wrestlers say you know?
Some wrestlers say it so often, like Stan Hansen. God bless him, but he says it every sentence. What is it with you know? Every single sentence.
Well, I know, and if you know, then you know. That's a way of saying I don't know what I'm going to say, and I don't want dead air. So, and I've heard other people say it so much that I assume it's acceptable. So I'll, say, when he said, well, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, dead air is preferable. Well, I think it, there are podcasts that are great, wonderful. The topics are fantastic, but the people don't know how to speak properly. My gosh, you're making money.
Glenn says well-dressed in class. I'm sure you think he knows how to speak properly.
Yes. All the people who are saying nice things about me, fantastic. People would see me on two different levels. The really intelligent, and at that time, college kids actually learned something and they were intelligent, as opposed to what's going on for the last 20 years or so. But I would see ordinary people would hate my guts. I had many death threats. I was shot at twice, had the windshield shot out of my car, Police took firearms away from people whose intention it was to kill me. I used to take knives away, chase people. We're going to do this. Take two. People would pull knives on me. I would chase them into a hostile crowd and take the knives away, and then leave them with something they could see for a few days. That you don't do that kind of thing. So people hated my guts. And then the really intelligent people, the people with a great sense of humor, they saw the humor in what I was doing. When I was 14 and I saw Rip Hawk on television, my jaw dropped, because this guy was cocky, condescending, arrogant, better than everybody else. And he was being such a horrible person and destroying property and saying bad things. And he was doing everything he could to prevent himself from smiling, because he had so much joy. He saw the humor, and he didn't want people to see him smile externally. I caught the humor. I saw the humor, and that's what opened it up to me. And then I could see, like, some of the people here, they're very smart people, and they say, I see the humor in what you're doing, as opposed to, oh, I'm offended.
There's
Rick Hawk.
Rip Hawk, by the way, for anyone that hasn't seen him before. He's on your right if you're viewing this. Rock's left, and that's Ric Flair on his left when they were tag team champions.
Let's see, right there.
Yeah.
Rick.
What were they called? Did they have
Rip Hawk and
names?
Ric Flair. Go ahead. Sorry.
Did they have a name as a team?
I don't know. Ric Flair
Okay.
and Rip Hawk, I suppose. But Rip would always have top billing. Rip is the person who brought him into the business.
How would Rip do a promo? Because I've heard you do the impression before, and it's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how to do that. I just looked at my software over here, and it says my mic is off, but you're obviously hearing me, correct?
We're hearing you, and someone's also saying it was the Fred Willard show they were asking about in
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which one do we do first? Fernwood Tonight, Martin Mull and Fred Willard. I put that together. An act together for Chuck Barris for the Gong Show. Before it ever aired, I heard about it because I had left San Francisco. I had gone down to Southern California, to Los Angeles area, got my palatial estate in the Hollywood Hills, got my office on Sunset Boulevard, 6464 Sunset Boulevard, southwest corner of Sunset and Wilcox, 3 blocks west of Vine Street. And let's see, what was the question again?
The Fred Willard show.
Oh, thank you. So I did the thing initially for Chuck Barris, and he loved it. And I've got great stories I can tell you about Chuck Barris. And then I did a version of it for Fernwood Tonight, for Eve Branstein, who was the casting director. I did a video, and I submitted it to them. And I had some people come over to the house, and we did all sorts of crazy stuff, ideas that I came up with. But basically, I did that act, if we call it an act. Breaking boards, beating up a dummy, elbow drop. That's a 6-foot elbow drop onto a wooden floor that doesn't give at all, sort of like many of the rings I had wrestled in. So they looked at the audition. That was just ad-libbed. I just ad-libbed the whole thing. And they scripted it the way that I had ad-libbed it. I said, oh, fantastic. So I got hired and I did that. That was fantastic. I did Fernwood Tonight. I did one show there, and I did one show of the one when they took it up to America Tonight. If you're lucky, you can still find it somewhere on YouTube. It goes up, they take it down. It goes up somewhere else, they take it down. It's a funny show. It was great because when I left, when I did Fernwood, Alan Thicke was the producer, and Alan Thicke would go out ahead of time and talk to the audience. Alan Thicke did not know me. I mean, he knew who I was. He had met me, but he wasn't like a close friend. As he's doing his warm-up on the microphone, I go out dressed in character with my robe, my stuff underneath. I'm ready. I go out. I take the microphone away from him. He has a live audience, and I start putting down the live audience, prepping them to boo me as they totally should when I come out and do my bit. And they did. And it was just a really fun show. Who was it? Fanny Flagg was on that show. I had done my bit. I was starting to leave, and Fanny says, "You're leaving?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "Aren't you going to stay and watch me do my thing?" And I said, "Absolutely. I'm staying to watch you do, to watch you work, because you are amazing." So she did her thing. Okay.
That's
Yes, I'm in the show.
hilarious.
I'm in the show. What else? What else? What else did I miss?
Corey
How much
wants to
fun?
know how much fun was it being around Ric Flair?
It was a lot of fun being around Ric Flair. I can tell you a story about Ric Flair. Since we were talking morbidly about people who had passed away, it's is this like the anniversary of
Dusty Rhodes
Dusty
died
Rhodes's?
10 years ago yesterday.
Yeah, I was at Dusty's funeral in Tampa. Thank you. And 700 of his closest friends were there. Great security, major people, all of the biggest names of that were alive, of course, in professional wrestling. 700 of us. I'm sitting behind Ata Maivia, and she and I are talking. And I just, before this happens, before the service begins, I just look around and I look at all these people. I said, "That's my family. It's my family." And that's just part of how wrestling used to be. In places, it's still a feeling of family, but I don't know that I don't think it's
No, they
anywhere
don't
near
have
what it
the
used to be.
camaraderie anymore. They
Yeah,
definitely don't. It's not there anymore. And
it
the
is. It is at CAC. It is at some of these fan fests. I will be at WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the day after Thanksgiving and 2 days after that. And I know I'm going to be, I've already
I
talked about
mean,
the
when
Hall
you're
of Fame.
flying in and you're only wrestling 1 day a week, and the top stars have their own buses and their own dressing rooms, it's not like everyone's together working to draw a house because you're paid off the house and everyone matters. They're all getting the guaranteed money now, so it's not the same where you had to work as a team. Or if there was a riot, for instance, you'd all have to back each other up.
Oh,
Like,
want to hear a riot story?
yes,
I have lots of riot stories. I caused my first riot when I was 14 at an outdoor, at the Burlington Municipal Ballpark. Rip Hawk and Swede Hansen were in the main event. And when Rip came out, I had already met him, of course. And here I am, this skinny little kid. And I brought a cane, a walking cane. And I said, "Rip, I have a cane. I'm sitting at front row ringside if you need it." He says, "Thanks, kid." And at one point, he looked around. He says, "Where's that cane?" And I handed it to him. And he went to town beating up the good guys. And the police escorted me out for my own safety. So that was the first little riot that I caused, I guess. Caused
now
a
we're
riot when I was
hearing
14.
like if they're getting mail directly to their house or something, like that's the end of the world. I mean, at least people are trying to get their autograph. I don't know, but you guys actually had to deal with in-person stabbings and like
Oh yeah,
violence every week,
every night we
every
would
night. It was that
wrestle.
bad.
I wrestled 10 times a week, most weeks. Here's the thing: there's a town somewhere every night, so you're wrestling every night. Now on Saturday, we'll take Pensacola for example. Lee Fields out of Mobile and Pensacola. I lived on Pensacola Beach. Great. Waves would come up on a high tide and actually touch my front door. But short trips there, great wrestling. And we were wrestling every night of the week on Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, I think at 11 o'clock, Pensacola television. We're doing that live. We're watching from the green room. We're watching before us. I think the news, so-called news, came on. And even then we were saying, okay, what's the gimmick? What's the angle? Whoever the president was then, what's his angle here? And we would work backward. What do they want the American public to believe in? Who benefits financially or power-wise as a result? That's what it is. That's their gimmick. That's what they're going for. So we watched it for its entertainment value. We would do the live wrestling there. Then we would go, I think it was like to Dothan, Alabama, and do the live television there. And then there would be what many called a house show that evening at an arena. So that's 3 times in one day. Sunday afternoon, matinee. Sometimes Sunday would be live television also. And then Sunday night, another one. But I think I averaged for a long time, like probably 8 to 10 matches per week. And most of the time, 10 matches. So yeah, that was camaraderie. That was driving. Like, can you imagine you guys Harley race? However wonderfully you think about him, however big and tough and strong and amazing you think he was more than that. But can you imagine riding with Harley Race and hearing all of these stories? It's every drive is an education. We have all of these major people who are taking the newer guys, letting them ride, and they're educating them, and they're talking, and they're giving history lessons. And we spent more time in the cars with the other wrestlers than we did with our own families by a long shot.
What's a good Harley Race story where it shows how tough he was outside the ring?
I don't have firsthand knowledge of that, so I'm going to answer your question in a different way. Like, give me a Harley Race story. There's a lot of stories out there where, yeah, if you're in a barroom fight, who do you want next to you? Harley Race? Yeah, you better believe it. When I first went to Minneapolis for AWA, Vern Gagne's organization, I went into Chicago's International Amphitheater. I had just finished in Georgia Championship Wrestling. I remember I drove something like 17 hours straight, got up super early, 3 o'clock in the morning, and ended up in Chicago. I've got a lot of stories from that, even that first match that I had with the Iron Sheik. And people ribbed me. And another rib was this. Harley Race said, "Hey, welcome to the territory, kid." I said, "Thanks." He says, "Where are you working tomorrow?" And doing that voice is tough. I said,
You sure it's not all the cigarettes you smoke?
Never in my whole life, never.
I know, I'm just joking. I've heard you say that.
Yeah, well, thankfully, I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. Thank you. Anyway, what was I talking about now? Harley Race. Harley Race says, "So where are you working tomorrow? Where are you wrestling, kid?" And I said, "I think I'm in Fargo." He says, "Yeah, me too. You want to ride with me?" And when he said that, everybody else in the dressing room is like doing this. And I had no idea why they were doing that. And I said, I would love to. I already have other arrangements, but hey, I really appreciate the offer. He says, "If you change your mind, let me know." Harley Race had, I put in one of the stories that I wrote, one of the newspaper stories, I put the kind of car that he had, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Very, very fast car. So he would invite new guys to the territory. He would invite them to ride with him. And he thought it was hilarious to be doing like 160 miles an hour and becoming airborne when the new wrestler is riding shotgun and screaming and begging him to let them out. And he just thought it was very, very, very funny. And as far as I know, never had an accident. But that guy had a serious lead foot and a serious automobile that would allow that lead foot to touch the floorboard quite a lot.
I think he did have an accident that almost killed him early in his life and killed his wife, but somehow he survived and went on to become one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, if not the greatest in a lot of people's books.
He was a very nice man. He was always nice to me. Most everybody was always nice to me. And that's because I went there with the attitude, go to give, not to take. How can I be of assistance? How can I make your organization? How can I make you more money? That's how I got in with Roy Shire. I was in gosh, and you can bring me back to all these stories that we stopped halfway in between. I was in Tennessee working for Nick Goulas and Jerry Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett, Jerry. Yeah, Jerry. So I'm there talking to the boys. I'm in the dressing room. I got paid well there. They they could use me for anything. They would call me because I'm a good stick man. I know how to talk on a microphone, generally speaking, and much better when I've had to sleep for the night before. But they would say, "We need someone to do. We need you to come in. We've got a couple of masks. We're going to put a mask on you. You're going to be this person, and we need you to do the interview as that person." Okay, fine, I can do that. And and I never said, "Oh, I'm not. I don't feel like I should do that." No, I think I should be wrestling someone with a higher position. No, baloney. The promoter, as I started to say before, wrestlers see this much. The promoters see 6 months, a year and a half in advance. Where are they going to go with this? So, an
Yeah, I
absolute gentleman, Rock Riddle,
actually
I say, hey, thank you.
I
Hey.
actually promoted an event once where the person was complaining that I put them against someone that wasn't that talented and was green. It's like, if you're a good worker, you should be able to get a good or a passable match out of that, and you should just look at that as an opportunity to like show how good you are.
That's
So
right.
I like how you put that.
It's carrying someone. Okay. And if you allow the person to show a little bit of ability and then you beat them, then you've beaten somebody. Too many. Who was it who came up with the idea, pin me, pay me? Yeah. Too many people let their ego get involved and it becomes huge. Ego is not for the dressing rooms. It's for when the marks are around, the fans are around. It's for when you're in the ring. It's for when you're in front of. Thank you. I just saw the Mr. Wonderful original. Yeah, and it's for when you're on the microphone in front of the camera, and then when that's done, you go back to the dressing room, and the ego's gone, and you're back with your family. Yeah.
Is this gold digger girl that you come out with sometimes your relationship or anything like that? Speaking of family,
One of hundreds.
one of
Oops.
hundreds.
This is called a pop filter, and I just hit the microphone. Yes, you see, I sound good. Is it really your amazing voice, Rock, or is it the fact that you have a professional microphone and a pop filter? Sorry. What about Gold Digger? There
Just
she is.
some fans were asking. This is one of your more recent appearances where apparently you bring her when you do your speeches at events.
Probably up until 4 or 5 years ago. I worked with many different valets, managers, if you will, female managers. And she is the one of all I've worked with who was the absolute best, who understood the psychology. We had a connection that was amazing, went beyond words. It's like it's like if you have a fantastic tag team, you don't have to say anything to your partner. You know exactly what they're going to do. And if you do something different, you know they're going to adjust to that. And it's going to be like wonderful. So Gold Digger has a body. I haven't seen her for a while now, but a body where guys' jaws would drop and the tongues would hang out and their mind would stop working. So, and she would dress to accentuate that. She would come out. We were better than everybody. Would come out with her glass of champagne, looking down her nose, and I'm the only one who is of interest. And one time I wrestled somebody, and the person went over and like was going to hug her. I had the microphone. I said, "Take her if you can. Take her. I've got hundreds." So it sort of took the wind out of his sails. Fun stuff. We always have to have fun.
There's been a few people asking about Andre the Giant on here. Could
Andre,
you share any stories about him?
I could, but I'm not going to. Yes, I don't remember where I first wrestled him. It may have been the auditorium, the arena in Mobile, Alabama. I know it was a huge place. Most of the places I wrestled were quite large. And they were so large that on one side of that arena would be where the good guy's dressing room is, and on the other side, the bad guy's dressing room. And it would take a while for someone, and the only person I knew who did this was the referee. The referee seemed to be the person who would go all the way around and talk to some wrestlers over on the other side and come back. So this referee came in to my dressing room and he says, Rock, you're wrestling Andre the Giant. I said, yep. First time ever. He says, I was just over there. Andre was talking about you. I said, oh, I had no idea he even knew I existed, because we usually didn't know who we were wrestling ahead of time. A lot of times we'd see them for the first time as they're entering the ring from the other side. He says, yeah, Andre said, he's afraid of you. Excuse me, say that again, referee. Oh, Andre said he's afraid of you. I said, okay, that makes absolutely no sense. Were those his exact words? And the referee said, well, exact words. I think Andre said, I am afraid I'm going to kill that Riddle guy. I said, that's a little bit different. Andre was wonderful. He became a friend. We had a great rapport from the very beginning. I'm in the ring with him now for the first time. I don't remember even meeting him before this night. But in the ring, there was an instant rapport. He picked me up like for a body slam. So he has his thumb in my tights. I'm up here, and he's pressing my tights down toward my feet and looking up and just grinning at me. And I have both hands. I'm trying to keep my tights and trunks on. This is not how I want to be known. I don't want all these photographers to get a shot of my amazing body. Yes, there would be too many women who would just give up. No, never mind. But so he has me up and he's going down, and he's just grinning. And then whenever he thought it was right, he came down with me and went, Psh! And I remember my thought. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a hard fall. I'm going to hit soon. Why am I not hitting? I hope it does. Ooh, okay. I think I lived. That was a long fall. And then I said, I think I can get up. But by that time, he had walked over to me. I was near the ropes. He put his hands on the top ropes to balance himself, and he put both feet in my stomach. He was not taking, there was no weight, zero weight on his hands on the rope. All of that 525 pounds was on my stomach. And my thought was, okay, do I have a change of tights in my bag? Okay, that's one Andre the Giant story.
That's
Another
hilarious.
story in my office building, 6464 Sunset. The top floor was Canon Films. So a lot of stars would be going up and down all of the time in the elevator, and I would keep running into them. And
what was the office you were running below with all these top stars above you?
Hollywood Success, Marketing and Public Relations, APS Entertainment. How's that?
Back in the days before social media, you were helping publicize these people.
Oh, I still do.
Okay.
I'm an extraordinary publicist.
Okay.
I have, of all of the press releases that are released, I've had a number of months where mine went to number one. Like within a week's period, it was number one of everything released during that week. I had, in the course of a year, I had the 16th most read press release, and I think the 17th or 18th most read press release. That's because every word has to be perfect. Oh gosh, do I have stories about press releases? I have stories about everything you can imagine. That's why I'm writing my book right now. And my challenge is, how do I keep it down to 800 pages? And that's the real challenge.
And I'm sorry to distract you from your second Andre story there. I was curious, which we'll ask you more about later, your Hollywood stuff.
Andre the Giant. I worked long hours in my office. and basically lived there, even though I had my Hollywood home. So a pleasure to listen. Oh, I'm looking at all of the nice things you put on the screen.
Sorry, you're not quite as fast as I am.
So engaging and passionate. Yes, I am. If only there were two of me, I would run away with myself. Oh, getting into character a little bit there. So I'm going downstairs to the coffee shop. I'm on the 7th floor. Got a beautiful view of the Hollywood sign all the way to the ocean. So I'm going down to the restaurant. I'm going to get a cup of coffee because I've been going too long without sleep at that point. And the elevator doors opened, and I'm looking at someone's sternum. And then I look up, and it's Andre, and he comes off of the elevator, and I jump up, and he holds me up like a little baby. It was a wonderful, unexpected reunion. He was actually going upstairs to do something with Canon Films, but he stopped to see me as well. That was.
I gotta
really
ask
nice.
you, you're a ladies' man. Are you part of her hit list, so to speak? It's not something really to brag about now, but how she looks in that picture, it would have been.
Okay. I call everybody by their professional name. Sunny was a wonderful lady. I always liked her as a friend, as someone I could kid around with, and never looked at her as on a personal level. Always looked at her as one of the boys, and with a nice outward appearance, obviously, a good sense of humor. She told me early, before anybody else knew, she says, I'm swearing to secrecy, but I got to tell you, I just heard I'm being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. You can't tell anybody. But she was so excited about that. I don't know what to tell you. She was a wonderful person. She had her problems. I did not see those problems in person ever, but she had her demons, and they got the better of her. I wonder, hopefully none of us in that same situation, but if we came from where she originated, and you have to take a look at where she grew up and all the things that happened. I don't know that much about her life, and then all of a sudden to be thrust into the spotlight. This is difficult for a lot of people. This is one of the reasons that you'll see people who maybe don't feel totally worthy or deserving. It has nothing to do with Sunny. I'm not saying that about her, but just in general, people who get to that point, how they try to escape. And it's like, let me take something to calm my nerves. Let me take something to help me relax. I never understood drugs. I never understood why someone would want to escape to that point, because the highest high that there is, in my never to be humble opinion, is life. Life is amazing. And having said that, I look back over my life as I'm putting this book together. I'm looking at the horrible pain I endured, the sense of loss, lost the love of my life, and she's still alive as far as I know, but I lost her.
Oh, you're hilarious.
Was up all night on the phone with suicide prevention. I remember that. I said, tell me why. People, and so I can understand certain things. And
hey, I've been there too. I've actually done it, and luckily got saved by emergencies. But you have ups and downs in life, and God keeps some of us here for some reasons.
Yeah. I remember explaining this to someone. People say, oh, you don't understand. This was my soulmate. Really? That's why that person's gone? That's why she's gone? I said, I don't understand. Okay, you tell me if this is not the feeling that you have. You've taken a journey. You're going into space, and you're circling the Earth, and you're looking at that amazingly beautiful planet as it blows up. and your whole world is gone. Your whole world is gone. Obviously, the next thing to do is to cut your wrist, right? Yeah. Guess what? Your world did not blow up. And there's a lot of other worlds out there, and there are a lot of other worlds that are better than that world. So, but
And
I
it might not
understand
work,
the
and you might
feeling.
just go through a lot of pain only to still be around after.
Hey, here's the thing. Had I not gone through that, had I not, I remember going to a doctor and I said, "Give me something to make me forget." He says, "Well, I've got one thing." I said, "I'll do it." He says, "Lobotomy?" I said, "Well, no, I don't think I want to go that far." Etc. But all of the pain, all of the suffering, all of the joy, everything that I have experienced in my life, if I could go back and had to do it, had the opportunity to do it over again, I I would not change anything. I'm not sure I could live through it a second time, but I would not change anything because everything that has happened to me, everything I have caused my entire life, everything I've experienced has made me the person I am right now. I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, I like that person.
Is this the girl you lost, by the way? Because I would have done
No,
the same thing if it was
no,
her.
no. Take that off the screen.
Well, let's share something else. You were on a cover with Bruno
Ta-da!
Sammartino. There you go. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. You
and
in the
Bruno.
car for any fan that doesn't know. Let's see.
Hey,
Let's do the finger point here.
yeah,
God, I'm
yeah.
terrible at this. There,
Where are we?
there.
Okay, here, I can do it. Bruno. Yes, Bruno
Yeah.
apologized. He says, I wanted you to have the big picture. I wanted to be like an insert, but I don't know. Let's see. Who else is in there? Spirit. Oh,
Sorry, I've accidentally took it off. Here, I'll put on some other way.
I
Here we
don't care.
go. Here's
I don't
Pat.
care.
Finish your Pat Patterson story now that I found this picture.
This was taken at CAC. I don't remember the year. I think it was 2007. So it's been a long time ago.
You're very photogenic, by the way, I have to say, looking through some of your pictures. Give us some tips as a publicist, not to distract from Pat Patterson, but
No, we're going to do Pat Patterson first,
okay.
then bring me back to the other. Otherwise, we get a ton of half stories here. Now, you just asked me what before.
Oh, you wanted to finish a story about Pat Patterson, and I found this
Oh,
picture, so it reminded me
yeah,
of
there's
that.
the picture. There's the picture. That was in 2007. That was at CAC. I was awarded the Real Honoree Award, and that's person who's in the entertainment industry and the professional wrestling business who makes a difference. And take a look. Okay, here's the excuse for you guys and the reason for you to go to caulifloweralleyclub.org and look at all of the people who won the Real Honoree Award. And you say, oh my gosh, Sylvester Stallone, Charles Bronson, Mickey Rooney, oh my God, and Rock Riddle. Oh, fantastic. This is when Pat Patterson introduced me to some wrestlers there I had never met. And he says, guys, this is Rock Riddle. Rock's the original Mr. Wonderful. And I had some of the best matches of my career with this man. I'm waiting. When the first time he said it, he says it many times after. The first time he said it, I'm waiting for the punchline. And there's no punchline. And now I'm looking, is there anything close where I can hold on? Because I said, once I got it, that it wasn't a joke. I said, that's the greatest compliment I've ever gotten. That made my day and my week and my month and my year, and something that I will remember for the rest of my life and appreciate. He says, Rock, I say it because it's true. Nobody can tell me to say anything I don't want to say. And then when he introduced me and presented the award at CAC, he told the story again. He said, had some of the best matches of my career with this man. I went up, I ad-lib, I don't plan things, I don't put a script together. I would like to thank the Cauliflower Alley Club and all of its associates and its members. Oh, gee, how boring. So I went up, did my bit, talked to the audience, and I think something toward the end, I said, and this is my family, and I love you, and I thank you. And Pat Patterson was down on the floor by that time. And I heard this voice that said, so I think it was wonderful. Oh, wonderful. And I saw it was Pat Patterson, and it was not a comment on my name, it was a comment on what I just did. I said, Pat, you've seen me do promos like probably hundreds of times. He says, yeah, but that was amazing. I said, oh, You know how long it took me to write that script? He says, no, how long? I said, I don't know. I just created it when I was up there. It's just off the top of my head. And that's why I was watching something earlier. A friend was showing me something from a court case where a victim is reading the impact statement. And I said, they don't come across as sincere if they're reading it. Well, under these circumstances, my friend said, you can't expect them to memorize something. I said, no, but they could just talk. They could look at the people, look at the jury, and say, this is what just happened, and this is what this person caused, etc. And you just relate to them, as opposed to, I am devastated, and my family is devastated, and etc. Of course, that is.
I was asked to make one of those, and I said, in Canada, anyways, it has no effect on the judgment. You can only make it after the judgment, so I didn't even make it in a case involving me. But I guess it may have some impact if you're doing it the way you're saying, directly to the person.
Yeah. Are you still on probation from that?
No. Hey, I was the victim. I was actually the victim.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But
speaking of famous wrestlers like Pat Patterson, here's a destroyer. He was in Grunt, the wrestling movie. Do you remember that? And did you have anything to do with getting him in Grunt? Because he had the mask off in Grunt. And there's very few times you can see him without the mask. So I always thought that was pretty cool.
I had nothing to do with the film. I had nothing to do with getting him into the film. I do have a video where he talks about all the stuff I have done that has been beneficial for him. And he's talking about how wonderful I am. And I'll put that up. I'll put that up on, watch this, Rock Riddle's Reality, the little YouTube thing that I started. That I haven't done very much with it, but I'll put that story up and I'll put that video up. So give me a week and then go take a look at Rock Riddle's Reality. RRR.
Do you know what's happened to Rick Martel? I saw this picture. It looks like you guys are buddies here with Jake kind of sabotaging the photo. He's kind of fallen off the surface of the earth in recent years. He's not doing conventions or anything. Apparently turned down the Dark Side of the Ring offer that they had for him to talk for the Dino Bravo episode. He says he wants nothing to do with wrestling anymore. Do you have any idea why?
No, I have no idea. So isn't this great when you ask me questions? Yeah. I said, I don't know.
Well, tell us a story about Jake then. You must have something about him.
He looks Jake's so not messing up the picture. Jake's in the picture.
Oh, okay.
Jake the Snake Roberts, he's someone I've known forever and ever and ever. He's, to me, a very good guy. He's always been a friend to me. We've had dinners together quite a few times. And we did something a few years ago. I think somewhere in Los Angeles, there was some sort of a fan fest type of a thing. And I've got this documented also. I will also put this on Triple R, Rock Riddle's Reality. Give me another week after next week. Oop, there we go with a pop filter again. But as I was there, he's signing autographs, I'm signing autographs, and I went to his table and I signed something. I signed a picture for him. And we got, I think we have video on it. We've got a bunch of still pictures that I've seen. And he's looking like he's so touched. And he's holding it up and he's so proud of this autograph picture of Rock Riddle.
I don't know if you're just really good at faking crying or if you've looked like you were almost about to come to tears like 6 times in this interview within an hour and 4 minutes. It's hard to tell with you. You're clearly a good worker, but you can definitely get that's a great talent to have if you are faking it.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Did you teach that one to the Hulk?
Yes, I got a story about Lou also. I got stories about all these people.
Well, tell us some. How do you know Lou? Were you representing him?
No. Wait, you asked me a question.
Okay, sorry.
No. You say Rock Riddle.
I was trying to cut you off before you started crying again.
Yeah, you're so emotional, and yeah, you look like you're gonna cry. Okay. How is that? That is, I bring my barriers down. You know, we all have these barriers up. We have these steel reinforced concrete 5 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot thick barriers protecting us so that we don't have to be out there. No, take the barrier down. I owe this to you. You want to see Rock Riddle? I show you Rock Riddle. When I tell you things, I will relive them. As I'm explaining them to you, I'm reliving them in my mind. And I can either let the feelings be there or I can hide them. If I hide them, I'm putting up the wall again. I can tell you about people who've passed away. I can tell you about all sorts of different things. And I can, yeah, put me in.
That's some good advice, actually. That's good because you're very entertaining.
And incredibly handsome, too. I'm one of the few people I know just keeps getting better looking all the time. Okay, now bring me back to what.
But do you still look this good in a pair of tights?
Better. I was just in a pair of tights in July last year. And, oh, you want to hear soupy sales stories? Wait a minute. You wanted to hear Hulk stories. You can't.
Yeah, there's so much with you, but let's get the Hulk one. Let's get the Hulk because everybody loves Lou Ferrigno on this channel. He was one of my first interviews.
I was at World Gym in Santa Monica. Louis Ferrigno came in. I remember it was the lat press down machine. And he went over to it. I had finished a set and he went over to it. And I looked at him. I said, I'm working there. And he like cowered, this great big monster. He like cowered and I'm sorry. And he backed away. And I said, gee. He either has seen me on television and he thinks I'm something way more than I am. Yeah, I think the Lou Ferrigno, if he had any concept of any idea of how to defend himself, I think he could probably do a lot with me, like putting me through the floor. So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I got to know Lou and met him in a bunch of different places. So, and again, good guy. We did not represent Lou, but we represented Carla, his wife. I just remembered that. Carla had decided that she wanted a career, and we ended up getting her a bunch of stuff. I think she had a starring role in one of the Cannon Films movies about gladiators or something like that. And then she got to the point where she made the decision that she didn't want the film business. She wanted to be Mrs. Ferrigno, Mrs. Incredible Hulk, if you will. And that's fine. You know, people make that decision. Go back to Sonny for a moment.
I may have already deleted Sonny to make room for some others, but yes, let's talk about
fine. I'm going to talk about her for a moment anyway, because since you're talking about emotion and stuff like that, she took a life. I mean, there's someone who is not alive anymore because she was intoxicated and she had a habit of doing that, and she hit this guy and killed him. And everybody's down on her. Of course, I mean, if I kill someone, I don't think I'm going to have too many friends left. And at the same time, I know the person she was. And yeah, and now she's looking more like this. I think, boy, this is going to get me some hate mail probably. But I think I will find out where she's incarcerated and drop her a note and say, if you're open, I'll come by and say hello. And can I bring something for you? Yeah. And it's just like when Roddy Piper.
For the love of God, don't bring her any more food, because she's the only person I've ever known to gain that much weight in prison. And I'm not saying that even as a joke. I don't know how you could gain weight in prison unless, like, there's nothing to do there all day but work out.
Or eat. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah,
I was falsely in prison before, and they hardly gave me any food, and I was cleared of that, just for the record. But you have no food, and all you can do all day is work out to at least intimidate everybody else that if they mess with you, you're going to be able to kick their ass.
Yeah, and they're all doing it, of course. Okay, so anyway, we talked about Sonny. Remember, there was one point in time, I don't know how many people remember this, but Roddy Piper was picked up for driving while intoxicated. And everybody was turning their back on him.
This is a great picture, by the way.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. You know, Roddy's actually a little taller than that, but I told him, I said, slouch down, you make me look bad. And so he did. But when he was picked up for driving under the influence, everybody was turning their back on him. And I got in touch with him and I told him, if I can be of assistance, I don't know what I can do. If you need a character witness, I do real well in court. I don't know what I can do, but I'm there. If I can be of assistance to you in any way, don't hesitate. I'm there for you, my friend. So a lot of people who said they were his friends deserted him, turned their back on him. Not me.
And
I
now
think
they
people have.
probably say he was friends with them again now that he's gone. I bet you anything, those same
Oh,
people.
of course. Oh, yeah.
So give us a happier Roddy Piper story, because we all love him and everyone has their downfalls. You seem to have done pretty well keeping yourself straight. I commend you on that. Because as you said, when you get the little taste of fame, you have those opportunities and you can get the big head and you have all these things you're dealing with. And some people go down the wild path for a while.
Right. I'll give you an example, and then please bring me back to a Roddy Piper story, Olympic Auditorium, etc. I had done a fair amount of film and television work, and not that I am all that talented, but I just pursued it and marketed myself as a product and got hired and networked and met people, and they liked me and what have you. I did a TV pilot for Sony's Crackle network. And it was called Tea Party, and there was another part of the name that I don't recall, but it was a starring role, one of several. And when they hired me, they said, "Okay, we're going to have a driver for you, and we'll take you and pick you up and take you back." And I said, "Well, I can drive myself. It's not a big deal." "Oh, well, whatever you would rather do, Rock. You're certainly whatever you want to do, but we do have a limo for you, and then we've got a driver. It's up to you." And I said, "I think I'll just drive myself." And they said, "Okay, well, this is downtown Los Angeles, and this is where we have the cars parked. We have all of the people park their cars, and then we're going to give you a ride from there. It's like about 5 or 6 blocks." I looked on the map and I said, "I'll just walk that." And it was through homeless and horrible stuff, but it's like, I don't feel like I have anything to be concerned about. Someone comes up to me, and it's like I used to carry several $1,000s in cash with me all the time, and people would say, "Oh my gosh, aren't you afraid someone's going to steal that from you?" And my response was, actually, if they can take it from me, I figure they deserve it. But they better bring a lunch. It's not going to be easy. So that was the attitude. And they offered me, actually, that one was Orange County. I'll get 2 of them mixed up. But the lady who was doing the catering, she came to me. She says, "Mr. Riddle, I'm going to be getting the food and bringing it back. And what would you like?" I said, "I don't know." She says, "Anything you want." I said, "Okay, how about quiche Lorraine? How about, let's see, what else would I like? Beef stroganoff. I would like," and I started naming all these different things, and she was writing them all down. And I'm giving enough for like 6 people. Chicken Kiev. Oh, okay, chicken Kiev. And she's going to find somewhere out there that has all of this, and she's shopping for everybody to prepare lunch. And when she finished writing it down, I looked at her and I said, "Actually, let's change that. I would like a glass of water, hot tea with lemon and honey. How's that? I'm not hungry." But it's like, if I were to fall into that trap, it's like, "What can we do for you? What can we do for you?" "Well, I want pink carnations and I want sunflowers over here." "Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir." And then your head gets big and it's like, and too many people fall into it. That's what we were talking about. And now you're going to bring me back to something else, which was Roddy Piper. Okay.
The hot rod.
Yeah. I was in Los Angeles at the Olympic Auditorium. Roddy Piper was there. Roddy looked like a baby. He came in, and I had the opportunity to wrestle him a few times. I thought he was very good. And especially, I had watched him throw someone into the ropes. The person comes up, and he comes way back, and he pops them. And they go straight down and out. And I said, wow. I never questioned that. I said, he just knocked the guy out. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Wow. Anyway, I remember Leo Garibaldi came into my dressing room, and he says, Rock, you're working mid-card. This is your lucky day. You're going to be main event. We're pushing you up there. We got this guy. We're doing live television. It's going to start in a few minutes, like 30 minutes. We've got this new guy. He's this Arab guy. His name is, oh gosh, Johnny Rods. What name did he use?
I don't even remember, but I'll look it up.
Someone should be able to say.
Before my time.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, had this Arab name, and he says, Rock, we got this Arab guy, and Farouk or whatever it was. And he does it. He's good in the ring, but he can't do promos. We want you to manage him. And I said, no, thank you. He says, Rock, this is main event money. Main event. Boy, a lot more money than you're making now. I said, no, I'm happy with the money I'm making now.
Those are a bunch
of Rook, thank you very much. Thank you. Java Rook. Yeah. So Java Rook. And I said, well, Leo, I've always been honest with you. Here's the situation. You have 4 policemen for the Olympic Auditorium. 2 of them are up at the snack bar. The other 2 are terrified of the fans. You want me to be in a suit with my back to a hostile audience where this horrible, bad Java Rook, not Egyptian, but Arab guy is going to be wrestling like Chavo Guerrero, and everybody loves him. And here's a 65% Hispanic audience. I don't think so. I think my life is worth more than what you're offering in money, main event money. He says, Rock, you just go out and talk for him. You got to do it. I said, no, I don't got to do it. He says, well, Rock, think about it really seriously and do it. If nothing else, just do it this one time for us. There's no such thing as one time. It's like doing one favor for organized crime. No. Or they do you one favor. Okay, you're indebted for the rest of your life. So I went in and I talked to Roddy Piper. And I said, Roddy, they just offered me the position to manage this guy coming in, Java Rook. And he says, oh, main event money. I said, yeah. He says, well, congratulations. They said, no, don't congratulate me. I turned them down. He says, Rock, man, I would do anything to have that opportunity. I said, are you sure? He says, yeah. I said, I'm going to suggest you. He says, thank you. I said, no, please don't thank me. You may hate my guts for this. The first time you get stabbed, which is why I'm turning it down. He says, I'd love that opportunity. I said, okay. So I went to Leo Garibaldi and I said, Roddy Piper can do it. And Leo says, you sure? I said, yeah, Roddy can do it. And Leo says, okay, we got like 20 minutes. Go back in the dressing room, sit down with Roddy, tell him how to do the promo, show him give him an idea, tell him where he's supposed to go with this, etc. I said, okay. Now we look back at it now and say, Rock Riddle, you were instructed to teach Roddy Piper how to do a promo? I said, yeah. Sort of ridiculous that we look at it now in hindsight and say he was so brilliant. But I told him, I said, Roddy, here's an idea. If you like this, go with this. If not, make up anything. But you're going to talk to the announcer. You're going to say, I just talked to Javaruk's father, the Sheik. And he wanted to thank you, Mr. Announcer, for accepting his son and inviting his son to have dinner with you and your family. And the announcer saying, no, 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 don't do those. I did it. Roddy says, and the Sheik continued on with other stuff, but he says, and the Sheik has a message for you and for all of your viewers. And the announcer says, and you're going to tell me what that is? Yes. The Sheik says he has a gift for you for being so kind to his son. It's en route right now. The announcer says, okay, dare I ask, what is it? He says, it's a barrel of Arabian oil. And he wants you and the people of the United States to know it's the last barrel of Arabian oil you'll ever see. Arab oil embargo type time, I think. So who got Roddy Piper his first big break?
Tell us some promo, as I am a heel and I'm always looking for advice. Tell us some promo advice as a heel.
Sure. Okay. You have a lot of energy. You have your barriers down, so you're vulnerable, and you believe every single word you're saying. We know we're just making something up, or we're saying whatever we want to say. But we say it from our heart. We say it from deep down within us, so that people look in our eyes and they know if I don't like someone, they know I don't like that person. They know I want to hurt that person. Or, I have a partner and the partner just got hurt by this other wrestler, and then I'm up here being sad and having tears running down because my partner has a family, and I'm not going to do that one. But
oh, come on, please cry again. That's going to be your gimmick of this podcast, but I like it. I don't mean to make fun of you. Don't cry now if I'm making fun of you, please.
No. I'm just considering whether I want to do that. It takes a little energy, but
by the way, if you want to be a heel, dress like this.
That's from that TV show I did for Crackle, for Sony's Crackle. That was a fun event, and that's where they were offering. Yeah, that's where they were offering all this food and stuff. So I gave an example. That was Moose. My character name was Moose somebody. I've got a picture somewhere of, in the end credits, there's that picture of Moose, and it's got the dates of 1956 to whatever year it was that we made this, 2020. So, and I said, I'm going to put that on my Facebook as my profile picture, and people are going to say, oh my God, Rock Riddle's dead? But I figured it's a little bit too much of a joke right now.
This is kind of dark, but you look pretty cool here. How old have you been here?
How
look
old?
Like a vampire almost.
Born July 12, 1973. So I have to tell you, my kid is 30, and I've told him that he just turned 30. Brilliant kid. Wow. And goes all over the world. artofmondays.com. That's one of his businesses, one of many businesses. And I told him, I said, you're going to have to start lying about your age, because pretty soon you're going to pass me. And I don't know how old I was at that point, but that was Blue Collar. That's the name of the movie. It won Best Picture at the Paris Film Festival. There I am on location outside of Detroit. It was Richard Pryor, Yaphet Kotto, Harvey Keitel. Paul Schrader wrote and directed. Give you a story there if you'd like. I'm not even waiting for your response. I'll go ahead and give that story.
There you go. Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
Is that? And who is he? I know the name, but I don't know who he is. I hate to say this.
Google him, or go to imdb.com and take a look at him. And while you're there, take a look at Rock Riddle.
You must have had something to do with your IMDb, because I search people on there all the time, and yours is incredibly detailed. That's your publicist side helping you a bit.
I don't think I've put anything on there. I think everything went up there automatically. I can't think of even putting. I put the pictures up there, so
Right.
that's the only thing that
Yeah,
I put
that's
up.
good. That's helpful.
Yeah,
I didn't even know. I guess as a publicist, you know how to do that,
I
or
know
can
how to
anybody
do
else?
lots of things.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't mean to. I'm gonna look up Harvey while you're talking.
Okay, so let's see. What can I tell you about that film? Did a week in Detroit on location, 2 or 3 days in Los Angeles. I'm working with Yaphet Kotto, the late and great. I just ran into him a year or two before he died, and we talked about the film. He never knew this, but I told him the story. He's the guy who was in Alien. He's the guy who played Idi Amin. If you see his picture, you'll look up his name and
Yeah, and I
Yaphet
do
Kotto,
know
and you'll find
Harvey
out.
now. He's in Pulp Fiction. That's him,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Looks like him.
Yeah.
Of course, he's older now. Some
Yeah.
people look
That's what I know
older,
him
and
from.
some people keep getting younger looking and keep lying about their age so that they're
Hey, you're
lower
very
in life.
mobile. You're very mobile considering all the
Yeah,
punishment you've been through. 10 matches a week for how many decades?
probably 10 years that I worked a lot. I wrestled at least 5 times a week. Yeah, interesting story. So I'm pretty mobile. Yeah, I'm in pain all the time,
Right.
and that's
I'm in
a
pain all the
little.
time, and I wrestled a lot less than you, so I could only imagine.
Yeah, uh, I always subscribe to the Kevin Sullivan School of Wrestling, and I told Kevin this several times. The Kevin Sullivan School of Wrestling is we never leave our feet. We are good enough. We don't have to be performing gymnastics in the ring. Therefore, we still have our own knees and our own hips, and our own and our bodies still work. So, should we go
Now,
more into depth there?
no, I mean, we don't want to depress people, and we've already gone over my regular time, but I'll throw in a couple more fan questions, and we may have to do a part two down the road. Someone's asking for some more superstar Billy Graham stories. Sadly, I could not make the funeral being from Canada and having some issues at that time. I understand it wasn't as well attended as, let's say, the Dusty funeral. What are
Yeah,
your thoughts on that? I know Jesse Ventura sent in a promo, but I don't know if there was any current WWE people there. I know that you were there, and the original what's his name? Sorry, he was also in Grunt. The original blonde haired guy. He's from your era. Long blonde hair. He's an artist. He was in a music video that you probably got him the job. He
I
played the
have no
mask in
idea.
Grunt the wrestler. You, but Steve Strong. Steve Strong
Oh,
was there.
Steve's before my time. Look at him. He
Okay, there
look.
you go.
You think he's not a lot older than me? Okay, what are we talking about now? You
The
have a.
funeral. I was asking, like,
I
what were your
yeah.
thoughts on the turnout on the funeral?
I was talking to the funeral directors. I usually get places early, and yeah, there were some names there, but and I was surprised that I expected when I walked in. I said, "This place is not large enough. There's going to be such a huge turnout," and there wasn't. I don't remember how many hundreds of people, but I was amazed that there were not more people there. Why? I have no idea. But I was close enough with Billy Graham that I could not be there for Terry Funk's funeral. I was also surprised. Now it was large, but I was surprised that it was not overflowing. Um, so I could tell you stories about that too, and it's too bad. Um, Interesting with Dusty's funeral, but again, WWE based out of what is
Tampa
it,
and
Tampa, and the
Orlando.
funeral was in Tampa, so I
Yeah.
guess it was maybe a little easier.
And his
Uh,
kids are active in WWE and AEW, so it always looks good, sadly, to show your face and stuff like that when the kids still have some pull.
Before I went to Dusty's funeral, as soon as I found out uh, that where it was going to be, I happened to tell a few of the guys. I figured all of the major people are going to be there, and they were virtually all. And there was a one wrestler in particular. I told him, he says, "Rock, you're so busy. You got so much going on. How can you go to Dusty's funeral?" And I looked at him and I said, "How could you not?" You wanted to see
Exactly.
it? There it is. Yeah, how could you not? So that's my feeling. And let's talk about something that's more fun. Okay,
Yeah, well,
did
this is going to be more fun, Glenn.
Chuck Barris?
Were you on the Gong Show?
7 shows. 7 shows. Okay, we can do that story. That's a fantastically interesting story, also. And if anyone ever goes to Triple R Rock Riddle's Reality, they can see a bunch of pictures and stuff from that one as well. So and we don't say and we don't start a sentence with so. Therefore, as opposed to so, I'm going to go retract that so and continue on. I had a friend in the entertainment industry who said early on in my career, "Hey, there's this guy called Chuck Barris, and he's doing a new TV show, and he likes weird acts and stuff like that. You should audition for it." I said, "I don't know what I would do on a television." "Well, it's do something funny, and he'll like it, and it should be like, I think it was like 3 minutes or less, 2 minutes or less, something like that, 2.5 minutes." I said, "Okay, what would be funny? What can I do? I can sing badly. I can break boards, martial artist. So break boards with my hands, my elbow, and my forehead and stuff like that. I can do that. I could make a dummy, beat up the dummy, body slam it, do an elbow drop. I could have a female assistant, like in a magician's assistant outfit with a fishnet and a top hat and stuff. Oh, that would be great. And she can hold the boards up and what have you." So I did one I had seen way, way long ago, something called A Clockwork Orange, where they're doing the movie or doing the song, Singing in the
Yeah,
Rain.
that's a
"I'm
great movie, by the way.
singing in the rain," as they beat up somebody. I said,
Yeah.
"Yes, I'll do that." So I did that for Chuck Bear. I auditioned it. I got a call back, and they said, "Chuck Barris loved it. He wants you on the show." I said, "Oh, okay." "And he wants to meet you." I said, "Okay." Chuck Barris at that point in time was worth $17 million. What's that in today's dollars? 300 million plus, probably. So Chuck was doing very, very well. I met him. We talked. Every time I went back to do another show for him, then no matter what he was doing, he seemed to always have time. He blocked out time and he says, "Sit down, Rock. Let's talk. How's your career going? What's going on, et cetera, et cetera." And he gave me a fantastic compliment. He says, "Rock, I want you to know you're the first person I've ever met who understands what this show is really about." Because people took it seriously or they thought it was a game show. They didn't see the humor. They didn't understand. I was paid as professional talent to do that and got prizes too. Never took it seriously. I did an act for them. Oh gosh, I can talk for so long now, and I know we're limited on time. Roddy Piper. Oh, we have to go back to that story. Roddy Piper, I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff, but Roddy Piper gave me a huge sombrero, the one he had worn at the Olympic Auditorium for some sort of Mexican Independence Day or something like that, when he had his bagpipes. And he says, "I really," on the microphone, "I so appreciate the Mexican people, and here you are, totally sold out this arena, and it's one of your holidays, so I want to play the national anthem for Mexico." He played La Cucaracha. He ended up getting stabbed. That huge sombrero he was wearing that day, he gave to me. I did that in a gong show, on a gong show. There we are. Thank you. So, yeah, and I have the thing around my neck. That's part of a shirt. I made that. I actually bought a sewing machine and made it. What's over it is a straight jacket. So I did an escape routine. I had beautiful lady, a magician's assistant, different one, and she would put the straight jacket on me and cinch it up, and then she did the one underneath, and I would be la oh. So I'm doing the la 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 la, something like that. Anyway, it's on Triple R, Rock Riddle's Reality. I've got it on there. I found it, and I did just enough, put it on one of those videos, so that I got away with putting it on there. I think I cut it down a little bit, but she held up after the ankles are tied together, and then the straitjacket is on. She holds up this black cloth in front of me, and you see me struggling against the cloth, and then you see, and this was my character that I created, was El Magnifico y Gringa. She's Gringa. They changed that. They didn't like that, but El Magnifico, the famous Mexican escape artist. So I fall down the stairs.
There's your YouTube channel right there, just for anyone wondering. Let's, there you go.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Is there sound? Can you put sound on here?
Is it playing? Is the sound playing?
It is.
Okay.
Here's the end. Gorgeous lady, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and you didn't get out of the straitjacket.
No, and you see that they left me there.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Still there.
Next up, are you ready? All right. Hey, you know,
So there's the end of it.
So,
coming
so
up.
did they know? Did they know you were planning to do that, or was that improv to just leave you there?
As I was on the ground, Chuck Barris came over to me. He bent down and he says, "Rock, I'm thinking about leaving you there, but you got to be like, not make it about you. Don't struggle. Don't bring the attention to you, and we'll leave you there for the rest of the show. Can you do that?" I said, "I'm a professional. Of course I can do that." He says, "We're going to leave you there," and that's what made it so funny. And I had such a great rapport with Chuck Barris. The man was a genius. He really was. I got a call from his office after I'd done several of these, and also he offered me to be a running gag, and if my schedule permitted, and it did not. That's a long story, so I won't do that one here. But I got a phone call from his office, and they said, "Mr. Barris would like for you to do the dating game." And I said, "Rock Riddle doesn't have any interest. Thank you very much." He says, "Oh, but Rock, you've done all these other shows for him, and he specifically requested that I contact you." I said, I really don't want to do that. Chuck Barris really would like it if you would. And then there's just silence, and it's like my turn to think about this. And I said, "Can I do it in character?" And the assistant producer, whoever he was, he says, "Rock, you can do whatever you want." I said, "Okay, I'll do the dating game." So I did the dating game, and I won, of course. Ta-da! And never went on any date. Oh, you're going to show that, right? No.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
I think it's in that same little video that you were just showing.
Oh.
I think that was later on in that one.
Well, I look for that. Tell us some of the people you've done publicity for over the years that we might recognize.
I'll go back as long as I can. How about Andy Dick, for example? And
what's he doing now, by the way? The last I saw, there was like videos of him homeless. Is he okay or doing better?
I haven't seen him for years, but as far as I know, he's fine. I don't know. I did a lot of PR for movies and for production companies, and you'll still see my name when you look at other people's IMDb's and you look at other production. Look at a production company, and you'll see my name for PR, promotion, publicity, stuff like that. I especially worked with a lot of newer actors. I worked with people who had built a semi-name in another country, and they wanted to get their O1 visa to work in the United States. So I did all sorts of work on that to put that together, where I would get letters of intent from different producers. It's all about networking. It's building that network. And these producers would write letters that, yes, we're going to hire the person. This is the time that we intend to utilize them. And this is the salary that we are doing. And it had to be a relatively high salary. And then we would put together a big stack of stuff. Sometimes it would be like 7 inches tall by the time the attorney put the stuff together too. So we were successful in getting people work, and getting them their visa so that they could work in Hollywood and what have you. So we worked with people who were not huge names at the time, who became, well, who went on to do starring roles in films and stuff like that. Next subject.
It's very hard to find the dating game on here. I don't think you may not have done it. Maybe you should. Maybe that should be your next video on Rock Riddle's reality.
If I can find the dating game,
then you can come back on and talk about it.
Yeah, I thought it was in there somewhere, but
okay. Here, let me share the screen again, and I'll skim through it, because now you've got my attention. You've got all of our attention.
Yeah, because that was talking about Chuck Barris, and unless it's not available.
Yeah, sometimes YouTube will just cut it out. Here you are breaking the board. Wow, that's some.
There we are.
That looks painful.
And that's a hard floor, and there's broken boards on that floor, but that was easy to do. There's one of them. That's from the movie. That's a different valet. And that's me breaking the boards there. There we are.
Oh, this is the dating game.
Dating game.
That was a real win. That was not. It was a legitimate
you look good then.
Contest.
You were very handsome. I'll give you that.
I still am. I'm more handsome now than ever before.
Did you finish the job with this one? Don't kayfabe us.
This lady's name was Jackie, and I remember when the guy introduced her, he says, Jackie, built like a Fort Knox. So that's Jackie Knox, Knox. I never did the date. I was hired as professional talent. I had no intention of doing it, but they did it legitimately, and I won. And then I just said, whoever you'd like to go on this date with, it's yours. And I don't know. I've been a little reluctant with relationship type things. I look at someone and said, "Oh, wow, you have the opportunity. All these women are all over you." I'll tell you a story. My office manager on Sunset, my office manager was a lady by the name of Frankie. And Frankie, I remember the first time she said this, she says, "Rock, you have all these gorgeous women who go back in your office and you're sitting there, and I hear them giggling, and it's like, it sounds like they're like offering themselves to you. And aren't you ever tempted?" And I said, "Frankie, if they were to take off their clothes, lie down on my desk, they're not worth me getting out of my chair." She says, "You're serious, aren't you?" I said,
"Are you sure you were a wrestler?"
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I could tell you some stories, but not nearly as many as most. My feeling was this: what am I willing to invest my time in a one night, what's probably going to be like a one night stand or semi-regular when I'm in that town type of a thing? And that's not fair to the person. And unless I feel like this is something that could go somewhere, could become a true lifetime relationship, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Not that I don't have some stories I could tell you, but there you go.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You had some great stories. I'll ask one last question, though.
Yes.
I know you've been talking about kayfabe, and I know you have a good relationship with everyone in wrestling. You're very neutral. But what do you think about this new WWE Unreal show that's supposed to be debuting this summer about how they script the shows? Do you think that's going to help wrestling in the long run to peel back the curtain more?
No. When I'm at red carpet, world premiere movie events and other things in the entertainment industry, and I'm talking to producers, they find out that I am a wrestler, or they know that, then they'll bring up a bunch of different names, but they'll say, "Oh my gosh, you were a wrestler, or was like amateur or collegiate or like we see on television?" And my response is yes. You're a professional. Oh my gosh, Rock, when I was a kid, oh my gosh, I watched all these major people like Jake the Snake Roberts. Did you ever meet him? Yeah, Jake's a good friend of mine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the persons invariably would say, "Yeah, I haven't watched it since I was a kid. It's back then it was wrestling, and now it's more like a soap opera or something like that." And I after I had the best there was, I have no interest anymore. So did that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, and even from a TV standpoint, like I don't know if you saw recently The Rock and the John Cena heel turn, which aired on their YouTube channel, and so did the press conference where they completely broke character like 10 minutes later. And on a movie, we don't even see that. We don't see the movie bad guy and good guy break character 10 minutes later, and you don't usually see them doing the talk shows together before or anything. Do you think there's still something to suspension of disbelief, even though everybody knows it's fully scripted now and
It's not
kayfabe
fully
is over?
scripted. It's not fully scripted. How dare you say that? I tell you nothing. Last time I was in the ring was in July for the
I'm
Hall of
talking
Fame.
about the top companies. I'm not
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean,
So that's not wrestling
independence is
anymore then.
different. Yeah.
Leave the guys alone. Let them do it. It's like if someone's going to write a script and say, Rock, we want you to do a promo, memorize this. It would be sort of like when you see Jericho be handed a script and he tears it up in front of the person without looking at them and drops it on the floor. It's a horrible insult. Most people don't know how to do promos anyway, and now you get them to memorize something, and I'm going to kill that person because, well, you just wait and see. Line, what's my next line? Yeah, that kind of thing. I can't remember.
Or what drives me crazy, why I just can't watch it, is two people that hate each other week after week, just standing right in front of each other, talking about what they're going to, how much they dislike each other. If I don't like someone and they insult me, I'm going after them.
That's
I'm
it,
not
and
just
that's
going to
the
put
way
up
it should
with it.
be. I am old school. I have defended this business for a long, long time. I've taken bad fans, bad marks, if you will, into the ring at the request of the promoter and disciplined them, made believers out of them real quickly. And I protect. If you notice, when I've been talking about during this show right now, I said, okay, on one side of the building are the good guys, on the other side of the bad guys, and I threw heels in there because I don't even like to do that. It's like working for a. This is the way I felt about it. It's like I was working undercover for like a good version of the CIA. Nobody knew. Nobody knew anything. I would never give up any secrets. Like the wife of the person who's the James Bond assassin who never knows what he really does for a living. True Lies. That was an interesting movie. That was funny, but that's kind of a concept.
And I know I said that was going to be the last question, but people ask you about the Iron Sheik all the time, and we haven't asked you about it on this podcast.
Okay.
Mike Rubin wants to know, what was he like in real life?
Beautiful guy, beautiful man. Here's how I met the Iron Sheik. When I was finished with Georgia Championship Wrestling and went all that distance to Chicago's International Amphitheater, made a stop there, stayed over that night, and then went on to Minneapolis. But I believe it was at the amphitheater. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All these amazing people are in the dressing room. As Bobby Heenan, there's Harley Race, there's Crusher, Baron von Raschke, Nick Bockwinkel, etc. So there's all these amazing people in the dressing room. I remember, and I was apparently wrestling someone by the name of Khosrow Vaziri, and I didn't know the name. I had no idea ahead of time who I was going to be wrestling. So this one fellow by the name of Stan Kowalski, the big K, he says, "Hey, kid." I said, "Yeah." "Hey, you're wrestling tonight. Welcome to the territory, man." I said, "Well, I have no idea." He says, "Oh, well, let's get a program out here. See who you're at." Oh, crap. I'm cleaning it up just in case we're PG. "Oh, crap, Riddle. You got Vaziri. Okay, listen, you're new. You're a nice guy. I like you. And I got to tell you this. This guy Vasiri, he's a bit of an a-hole. Again, since we're PG. And when you wrestle the guy, if he becomes like a vice, if he wants to like crush you, there's one thing you got to do. You bend him over the ropes and you haul off and you hit him. And I mean, you hit him hard. You hit him hard enough, he'll loosen up a bit. He won't be like a vice anymore. You'll have a good match. I said, oh, okay, thanks. First time I ever saw this man, first time I ever met him, the man who became the Iron Sheik, Khosrow Vaziri, I see him from the way over on the other side. So he comes within view and he's coming toward the ring this way and I'm going this way. So I see him. I said, well, I remember my thoughts. Looks like he's in good shape. Looks like an athlete. He's confident. The way he's walking, he's confident. This should be a good match. We should have a good one. We're in the ring. Everything starts out nicely, except he gets like this pretty much right away. So I maneuver him over to the middle of the ropes, bend him over backward, haul off, smack him, hit him on forearm right there. Hit him pretty hard. His reaction? He could not believe that I just did that. But he loosened up. We had a good match going on. Then a little later on, got like a vice again. I said, gee, I guess he didn't get the point. We'll do it one more time. I'll see if I can hit him harder, as hard as I can without doing internal damage. So I bent him back over. I hit him. Boom. My body is in midair and I'm coming down with the force of my body and the force of gravity. And I hit him hard so that it's echoing pop, 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 pop all over the Chicago International Amphitheater. For the rest of the match, he has his mouth open and he's looking at me in total disbelief. As I'm walking back, there's all of the wrestlers outside of the dressing room on the stairs, and they're looking at me, and one's like this, and the others are like this. So some are sort of laughing, and I looked. It's like, did I have a wardrobe malfunction? I don't understand. I couldn't get what they were doing, so I didn't understand why. Why are they laughing at me? This was a good match. You can't find fault with that. I walk into the dressing room. There's Stan Kowalski, the big K. And
I met him before he passed, by the way. Great guy.
Yeah, super guy. And he's laughing too, but he's like rolling on the floor laughing. And he said, do you know who you just wrestled? That's Khosrow Vaziri. He's one of the toughest sons of bitches on the planet. He was a personal bodyguard to the Shah of Iran. He won the gold medal in the Olympics. I thought they'd bring you back on a stretcher, kid.
Good thing that was all kayfabe.
And see, this guy could have twisted me into a pretzel at any moment. Yeah. And I said, so Stan, in other words, welcome to the AWA. He says, welcome to the AWA, kid. 2 years later, I had told that story to Bill Ash. Bill Ash was interviewing the Iron Sheik, Khosrow Vaziri. And I was there, and I came in to the audience, and I hope there's a professional video of it somewhere. I know there's an amateur online. And Bill Ash said, Rock Riddle, would you come up? Everybody, you know, Rock Riddle, here's, and et cetera. He says, Rock Riddle, would you share that story that you told me earlier? And I said, okay. So I go up and say hello to Sheiky, and we have a little hug there and stuff. And bigger hug afterward, after I told the story, because he loved the story. Then he always wanted me to tell it. But I told the story there. And that's the first time he knew, I think, that I was not on his level legitimately. I'm sure we had mutual respect for each other because I knew how he could twist me into a pretzel, but he didn't know. That's my thought. So he had a big grin on his face, and he was so happy at that point. And again, that story was told quite a number of times. And every time I would see Sheik and he's in a public place like that, he would want me to tell the story again. So there we
Very
go.
interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that, and great advice in this in general, and great stories. I really appreciate it. Tell the fans about your YouTube channel and where they can follow you.
Well, if you take a look right there, rockriddle.info, it's like the last place that I update, except for Triple R, Rock Riddle's Reality, the YouTube channel, which has gone for probably 6 weeks without anything new. I will have something up in the next. Give me a week, I'll have something up. Give me 2 weeks, I'll
Put
have
something
another.
up about Mr. Wrestling too. Someone's asking about him, but we'll save that one for the next time because we'll just go on and on.
Yeah, we can go on, and as long as I'm through by midnight, I don't have anything else today. Mr. Wrestling number 2, Johnny Walker. I wrestled him. I wrestled Lou Thez. When I was just in the business, I wrestled some of the toughest people on the planet. And I talk about Lou Thez, and the same thing with Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling number 2. And wow, I'm thinking, I'm going to wrestle Lou Thez. I hope I survive this. And it was brilliant. It was wonderful. It was one of the greatest times, greatest matches I think I had, or that in my mind, at least it was, as was wrestling the Bear. We can talk about that. If you want to do a part 2 sometime, we'll talk about the Bear.
100%. So wrap this up with a good promo for us, if you don't mind, because you've given some great ones in this.
No, they'll have to come back for this part 2 to get a great promo. And then I'll do a promo about you and a promo about your show.